Chapter 538. Who? The space nearby vibrated a bit, and a gray shadow appeared there. Headmaster. The third and fifth master have brought them back. The leader of the Morong family has also come with them. The gray shadow's voice was very vague. If one did not know where he was, it would be hard to tell where the voice was coming from. The middle-aged man ordered, arrange a place for them to stay. Also, send someone to watch over them. Without my permission, do not let them step out of the Yuan family. Understood. Also, get Yi back and let the two of them get to know each other better. Although there is no more suspense in this marriage, if they can develop feelings for each other, it would be even better. If they do, no one would be able to stop them. The middle-aged man was actually a little bit worried that something might happen. For him, this marriage would not allow any accidents to happen. Once it was done, no matter if it was the Yuan family or him, they would both benefit a lot. Two perfect demi-demon bloodlines combined would also give birth to children with perfect demi-demon bloodlines. If there were two of them, then the Yuan family would have 4 perfect demi-demon bloodlines. Plus, all 4 of them would be on his side. So, his great-grandfather and the headmaster would definitely side with him. Headmaster, should we use the shadowless poison on the leader of the Morong family? With it, the success rate would be even higher, and that little girl would be more obedient. The gray shadow suggested. The middle-aged man thought about it for a while, then nodded, you will do it. Remember, do it secretly. Yes. All right. You go do what you need to do first. Hearing him, the gray shadow left without a sound. Turning around, the middle-aged man looked up at the blood-colored crescent moon in the sky. I hope it does not come to that. But, if it does, then it would not be my fault. This marriage can only succeed, and no failure is allowed. Whoever dares to stop it would be going against me. As the main family of the demi-demon race, the Yuan family had the most population, reaching a shocking 400,000. With such a huge population, there were naturally a lot of buildings. In the hundreds of miles radius around the abyss, there were all kinds of buildings. In a luxurious courtyard at the edge of the core region, 2 beautiful women were sitting on stone chairs and chatting. She was about 38 or 39 years old. Between her eyebrows, there was a charm that only a mature woman could have. An emerald green jewel hung from her earlobes, and she was wearing a luxurious dark green dress. Opposite of the mature woman was a much younger woman in a purple dress. Her face was covered with a veil, and through the contours of her face, one could see that she was somewhat similar to the mature woman. However, in comparison, she was more stunning. She had a pair of slightly purple pupils that were like 2 light purple gems. Her eyelashes were slender and curved, and her hair was like a waterfall. The latter was Morong Qingcheng. Qingcheng, do you think that brat will really come? The mature woman did not hold any hope. Morong Qingcheng was a little absent-minded. She took a sip of tea and said, since father went to find him, he will definitely come. I know him. Oh. Is it for you? The mature woman showed an ambiguous smile on her face. Morong Qingcheng blushed, not necessarily. Anyway, he will come. But it might not be entirely for me. It would be great if he comes. Otherwise, you will really have to marry that Yuan Yi. The mature woman did not look happy. The Yuan family is way too aggressive. They said that they invited you, but they were actually threatening you. Luckily, your father was not there that day. Otherwise, he would have to fight with the 3rd and 5th master of the Yuan family. With his power alone, I am afraid he would not be able to win against them. Morong Qingcheng said with determination, whether he comes or not, I will not marry Yuan Yi. Worst case scenario, I will just die. Pausing for a second, she said again, Mother, why did you come? If you come, I am afraid that they will use you to threaten me. The mature woman was indeed Morong Qingcheng's mother, Morong Zhishui's wife. Her name was Su Ruhui. She forced a smile and said, do you think that if I did not come, they would let you go and threaten you? I am afraid that it would be even worse. Plus, I am the former third daughter of the Su family, so they would not be too reckless. There were more than 20 demi-demon families in total, and the Su family was one of them. Different from the Morong family, the Su family was way more powerful than the Morong family, at least in the top 5. No matter how aggressive the Yuan family was, they would have to show some respect to the Su family. Plus, I also want to meet your father's old lover. Su Ruhui loved Morong Jishui a lot. As the former third daughter of the Su family, when she chose to marry Morong Jishui, there were a lot of obstacles. But in the end, she succeeded. However, there was still a knot in her heart. She knew that there was someone else in Morong Jishui's heart, and that person was his first lover. Morong Qingqing asked curiously, "What will you say when you see her?" "Nothing much. I just want to see what kind of person she is. My eyes are very accurate." Su Ruhui laughed. "Oh right, I have not seen that brat yet. When he comes, I will take a good look at him for you as well." The wind was blowing, and it was sharp like blades. 7-meter-long red-eyed birds flew at an extreme speed, shuttling through the clouds. Because of the extreme speed, a layer of air appeared 2 meters in front of the birds. It was very thick, and was formed by countless compressed air particles. It was a natural barrier. Inside the air layer, Yi Chen and the rest were all sitting on the back of the birds. The journey was too long, so they would occasionally wake up from their training mode and say a few words. But most of the time, they were training and adjusting their breathing. The back of the birds was very wide. Even with the 3 of them sitting on it, it still looked very spacious. If they squeezed a little, it could easily fit dozens of people. Yi Chen was sitting a bit to the right in front of him. When I first reached the Sea of Souls realm, my slaughter sword spirit and that normal sword spirit had both been strengthened quite a bit. The slaughter sword spirit was only rank 4, which was comparable to normal rank 5 sword spirits. But because of the huge increase in soul power, it naturally reached the peak of rank 4. But the normal sword spirit had been nourished by a huge amount of soul power, so why did it not reach the sword spirit level? It was just a bit more powerful. Yi Chen could not quite understand it. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen let out a breath. His deep eyes went through the air layer and looked at the world outside, where the clouds were rolling and changing. Right then, Morong Jishui had also stopped training. Seeing Yi Chen's pondering expression, he chuckled, "You are so hard-working. I always see you thinking." Yi Chen shook his head and said, "There are too many things that I do not understand. It seems like the more powerful I am, the more things I do not understand. Even some of the simple things that I have experienced before, I do not understand much anymore." "Oh." Morong Jishui was a bit surprised, "You are right. The more powerful I am, the less I understand this world. Before, we could only see the surface, and thought that it was everything. But now that we know the essence, we realize that the surface is just like a floating cloud." Essence? Floating cloud? A beam of light flashed through Yi Chen's mind, as if something had suddenly become clear. He was afraid that the inspiration would disappear soon, so he immediately closed his eyes and entered the training mode. Morong Jishui was shocked, and then smiled bitterly. He shook his head and also started training. Essence, right, I have never paid attention to the essence of the sword spirit. The sword spirit is the condensed sword intent, which is the will, which is the external expression of the soul power, which is equivalent to the power of the soul. Since I want to condense the sword spirit, it must be related to the soul power. I have never thought about this before. The reason why I can condense the slaughter sword spirit is because it is natural, not intentional. Clang! 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 In fact, this sound did not exist at all. It was simulated automatically in Yi Chen's mind, and only Yi Chen could hear it. Above his soul's sea, next to the dark red slaughter sword spirit, there was a rather illusory ancient longsword. This ancient longsword was the sword spirit embryo. Next to the sword spirit embryo, a silver hammer was hitting the sword spirit embryo, bringing out illusory silver sparks. The silver hammer was created by the soul power. A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. Just as he had expected, the sword spirit embryo's density had increased. It seemed slow, but it was actually a couple of times faster than before. Murong Jishui's unintentional words had solved a problem for Yi Chen. Since the essence of the sword spirit was the external expression of the soul, then using the soul power to train it would be the perfect way to train the sword spirit, right? Oh right, since I could think of it, why didn't the Battle King think of it? Yi Chen suddenly thought of this question. According to the information that the Battle King had sent into his mind, training the sword spirit was all about learning and using more, but not training. Is it because they can't do it? After reaching the life and death realm, although the soul power would increase drastically, the rank of the sword spirit would be higher as well. So, the soul power would still not be able to train the sword spirit. After thinking about it, Yi Chen felt that this was the only explanation. It was because his soul power was 5 times more powerful than the other Sea of Souls realm warriors, which was why he could condense his soul power into the shape of a hammer and hit the sword spirit embryo. But the other Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to do it. Even the Battle King could not do it when he was at the Sea of Souls realm. Once he reached the life and death realm, although his soul power would be more powerful, but the rank of his sword spirit would be higher as well. So, he would not be able to do it either. It seems like this is my talent, and no one else can learn it. Regardless, Yi Chen was in a good mood. He had found a shortcut to speed up the development of his sword spirit. Time passed quickly, day and night alternated. On the 7th day after Yi Chen had learned the essence of the sword spirit, the red-eyed beast carried everyone to the eastern region. Right then, there was only 1,000,000 miles left before they reached their destination, the Gulan region. Ting! The moment the night arrived, a sword ting sound echoed in Yi Chen's head. 7 days ago, the vague sword spirit embryo had finally been completely condensed. If the sword spirit embryo was an iron sword that was not that sharp, then the completed sword spirit would be a great sword. The edge of the sword was extremely sharp, and the light of willpower was like the cold light of the sword, making people's hearts skip a beat. The second sword spirit, done. Yi Chen abruptly opened his eyes. The dark sky suddenly brightened up, as if a flash of lightning had flashed across the sky, or a beam of sword light had appeared. Chapter 539. Murong Jishui and Murong Wu, who were only a couple of meters away from Yi Chen, did not notice anything strange about Yi Chen. Compared to before, Yi Chen's control over his sword intent had already reached the top level. The second the sword spirit was formed, he did not leak out any sword intent at all. Indeed, the third sword spirit has been formed. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen focused all of his attention on his Sea of Soul. Above his Sea of Soul, besides the slaughter sword spirit and the second sword spirit, there was another illusory, ancient-looking longsword right next to the second sword spirit. This longsword had a dim light, like an abandoned iron sword. However, on the surface of this longsword, there was a bright light of willpower as well. The third sword spirit is just like the second one, which is as powerful as a normal rank 2 sword spirit. As for the second sword spirit, it has already reached the peak of rank 3. Combined with the destruction or immortality element, it would be as powerful as a peak rank 4 sword spirit. In other words, without the slaughter sword spirit, destruction or immortality element, Yi Chen's second sword spirit would only be below the master level sword spirit. Once it was combined with the destruction and immortality elements, its power would reach the peak of rank 4 sword spirit, which would not be weaker than any master-level sword artist. The reason why the slaughter element was imprinted on the first sword spirit and formed the slaughter sword spirit was because it had slaughtered enough people. If I want to imprint the destruction element on the second sword spirit, I must comprehend the true essence of destruction. Once the destruction sword spirit is formed, its power will be even greater than the slaughter sword spirit. Shaking his head, Yi Chen was confused. He was wondering how many sword spirits he could form in the end. According to his estimation, there should be 3 sword spirits, which were the slaughter sword spirit, the destruction sword spirit, and the immortality sword spirit. After all, there were only 3 elements in his sea of soul. Of course, it was just an estimation. Who knew if there would be a 4th or 5th sword spirit? If there were, he would have to think about why. He could not even figure out what had happened to him, so what else could he figure out? The slaughter sword spirit and the 2nd sword spirit are resonating. Right then, Yi-Chen found out something amazing. Inside his sea of soul, the slaughter sword spirit and the 2nd sword spirit had some kind of connection. It was very weak, and if he did not sense it carefully, he would not be able to sense it at all. Moreover, he found out that as the connection was formed, the slaughter sword spirit and the 2nd sword spirit were condensing at a very small speed, as if they had formed a resonance field. Who? A wave of strong flow blew past, causing the bird to shake a little. Murong Jishui and Murong Wu were both startled awake. Looking at the environment under the cloud ocean, Murong Jishui laughed, "We have entered the Gulan region. In about 2 to 3 days, we will reach the biggest city near the Yuan family, the Ancient Wind City. Shall we go to the Ancient Wind City first?" Yi-Chen asked. Murong Jishui nodded. Right now, going to the Yuan family would be like entering a tiger's den. Although they would not kill us, they would still be able to imprison us. Once the wedding is over, it would be pointless for us to come out and cause trouble. So, we cannot be reckless. You're right. Yi-Chen thought about it and agreed with him. If he entered the Yuan family on his own, there would be a big chance that he would be imprisoned. Then, the other party would be able to say that he was imprisoned because he had intruded into the Yuan family. Right then, Murong Wu said, "Third brother, the Yuan family would not be easy to mess with. I am afraid that our operation would not be that smooth. Even if they are not easy to mess with, we will have to. We have no way out now." Murong Jishui said viciously, then looked over at Yi-Chen. Yi-Chen looked very calm, but there was a sharpness in that calm look. Ancient Wind City, it was one of the most famous big cities in the Gulan region, which was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Yuan family. Inside the city, there were a lot of martial institutions branches, which were basically used to protect the local businesses. After all, the martial institutions were too far away, and it would be impossible to have no security. "Yuan Yi, I lost to you 2 years ago. Today, I will take it all back." On the street, 2 young men were confronting each other. The one who was talking was in his 30s. His long hair was tied up by a yellow band, and there was a dirt-colored battle blade on his back. The blade intent was shooting out of it. Easily blocking out the incoming blade intent, the handsome young man who was also in his 30s sneered, "Gao Yunfeng, you are a powerful warrior as well. Unfortunately, you should not have come to me. 2 years ago, you were not my opponent, and 2 years later, you will be even more so. I am not interested in competing with you." "What? Are you scared?" "Scared? Ha! I am just not interested in wounding you. Perhaps, I might even accidentally kill you." Yuan Yi looked disdainful. Injuries and deaths are inevitable in battles. I, Gao Yunfeng, do not care about it anymore. Alright, since you want to die that badly, I will fulfill your wish. Let's battle outside the city. A killing intent appeared in Yuan Ye's eyes as he flew toward the west gate. Gao Yunfeng followed right behind him. "Hurry! Follow him. Yuan Yi is about to battle with Gao Yunfeng, regardless of life or death." All of the warriors who were watching were excited as they followed. On the empty wasteland outside the city, the wind was blowing hard. 2 human figures kept crossing each other, bringing up a chi power that was enough to tear the ground apart. Burning fire blade. Gao Yunfeng faced the incoming wind and threw out a blade attack. This blade attack was extremely hot, and even the air had been heated red. It spread all the way toward Yuan Yi, who was not far away. "You have overestimated yourself." Yuan Yi reached out his right hand and formed a fist in the air. All of a sudden, circles of light black pattern appeared on the edge of his fist. The pattern expanded rapidly, covering half of the sky. The wind stopped suddenly, and the place became deathly silent. "Die!" Yuan Yi threw out a fist attack toward Gao Yunfeng, who was standing in front of him. Pooh! The burning blade chi had been shattered, and Gao Yunfeng puked out a huge amount of blood. His face looked extremely pale, as if he had lost a lot of his life force. Falling heavily onto the ground, Gao Yunfeng puked out a mouthful of blood and said, "I did not expect you to have trained your killing water fist art to more than 100% already. I have not lost for nothing. I thought this fist attack would be enough to kill you. You are pretty tough. Don't worry, that fist attack did not kill you, so I will not attack again." Yuan Yi walked over and stepped on Gao Yunfeng's head, pushing it into the mud. "If you want to fight against me, then you will have to be prepared to be killed or humiliated. You are very lucky." Seeing this, a lot of warriors shook their heads. The competition between the young generation of the eastern region was very intense. Therefore, the battles were very cruel and cold. Leaving the battling area, a gray shadow appeared right next to Yuan Yi. It was very easy for people to ignore it, since it was mixed with the color of the mud. "Uncle Huang, what are you looking for me for?" Yuan Yi said lightly. "Your fiancée is here. The headmaster asked you to go back early and build up your relationship with her." A voice was heard from the gray shadow. A smile appeared on Yuan Ye's face as he said, "I have heard from the spies that this fiancée of mine is so beautiful. I would like to go and see for myself. Your fiancée will be your wife in the future. But, there is one thing that you have to pay attention to. This fiancé of yours has a good friend, and his name is Yi Chen. Right now, he is almost here in the Gulan region. Whether or not you can get married successfully will depend on your own power." "Yi Chen. I know. Isn't he just a lucky guy who was chosen by the Dragon King? If he wants to come, then let him. But, I will let him know what it feels like to have both his woman and his dignity taken away. I am afraid that he will not be able to get back on his feet." Huh. Yuan Yi did not care about Yi Chen at all. Indeed, the latter's talent might be higher than his, and he was a lot younger than him as well. But, in front of power, it would not be a problem at all. Once one reached the Sea of Souls realm, age would be an advantage. It was just like the age difference between life and death realm warriors. The gray shadow said calmly, "He is the martial genius that the Dragon King has chosen after all. You better be careful. I know what to do with him." An evil smile appeared on Yuan Ye's face as he said, "Let's go back. I am a bit impatient now." Shoo! Shoo! The two flashed their bodies, flying toward the Yuan family. After about the time it took to brew a pot of tea, 4 black dots landed from the sky. They were 4 7-meters long red-eye bird, with human figures standing on their backs. "We have arrived at the ancient Wind City. Let's go down." When they were close to the ground, Murong Jishui jumped down and stood steadily on the ground. With a shoo, Yi Chen jumped down as well. "This is the ancient Wind City. It looks like it has been around for a long time." Landing in Yi Chen's site was a very ancient city. The mottled walls told the world that this city had been through years of wind and rain, but it still stood strong. Moving his eyes away from the city, Yi Chen said with a bit of surprise, "So many astral-reaching realm warriors have gathered here. Did something happen just now?" Murong Jishui said, "I guess there was a battle earlier. Never mind it. Let's go in." Entering the city, the group chose a luxurious hotel to stay in. The night was like water, and the ancient Wind City seemed to be a lot quieter. Inside the guest room, Yi Chen quietly released his soul power. His powerful soul power covered the entire ancient Wind City within a second, allowing him to sense every corner of the city. There are quite a lot of Sea of Souls realm warriors here. Yi Chen's soul power was way more powerful than normal Sea of Souls realm warriors. Scanning out with his soul power, he would not be noticed at all. It was just like when he was at the astral reaching realm, where he used his soul power to scan out astral reaching realm warriors. There were more Sea of Souls realm warriors in the ancient Wind City than Yi Chen had expected. Most of them were training, and some of them were doing secret things. Of course, Because the soul power was too scattered, Yi Chen would not be able to intercept their voices. He could only tell what they were saying from their mouths. Where is Murong Wang going? He was about to take back his soul power when Yi Chen sensed that Murong Wang had left the hotel and was flying toward the west, leaving the ancient Wind City soon. This guy. A cold light flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. To the west of the city was the Yuan family. With the speed of a spirit warrior, he would be able to reach there in half an hour. Murong Wang thought that no one would know that he had left, since he would be able to sense it as soon as he scanned out with his soul power. But, he did not expect that Yi Chen's soul power would be even more powerful than the Sea of Souls realm warriors, which allowed him to see his every move. Chapter 540. Let's see what he is up to. Yi Chen thought about it and decided that he should still follow him. He did not like to be stuck in an unknown situation, so he had to take the initiative. Pap! The wooden window opened automatically, and Yi Chen flashed his body before jumping into the night. Tonight was a moonless night. If it weren't for the few stars providing a bit of pitiful radiance, the whole heaven and earth would be so dark that one wouldn't even be able to see their own fingers. However, this dark environment was like a fish in the water for Yi Chen. His profound art, shadow separation, was even more effective in the dark. With his shocking soul power, Yi Chen and Murong Wang maintained a distance of 200 miles, following closely behind. Murong Wang's speed was very fast. Under the cover of the night, he looked like a flash of light blue light. If a normal person saw it, they would think that it was an illusion. Ha! One is crazy and overconfident, while the other is young and arrogant. He dares to go against the Yuan family. If the Yuan family were this easy to deal with, then they would not have been able to hold the leading position of the demi-demon family for the past tens of thousands of years. Murong Wang had not been optimistic about Murong Jishui and Yi Chen since the beginning. Therefore, he had already made up his mind that he would not work with Murong Jishui, choosing to stand on the side of the Yuan family. He knew that if Murong Jishui and the Yuan family went against each other, he would lose the leader position sooner or later, and might even be imprisoned. Although he did not want the leader position of the Murong family, but if it were his turn, he would naturally not let it go. Being the leader of the Murong family would more or less bring him some benefits. My son might even have the chance to marry the third lady of the Yuan family. Most importantly, if this marriage is successful, I might be able to get a copy of the demon's martial art. Although the demon's martial art might not be as profound as the human race's martial art, but after demonizing and using the demon's martial art, my power would increase drastically. I might even be able to compete with master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. For this demon's martial art, I have to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Murong Wang's ambition was huge. He was only in his 60s right now, and in the next 250 years, he would have a chance to enter the life and death realm. Once he entered the life and death realm, he would be able to go to the continent, the ocean, and even the stars. Therefore, before that, he had to become more powerful. Whoosh! With a slight air-piercing sound, Murong Wang's speed increased by a bit. What he didn't know was that over 200 miles behind him, a blurry shadow had been following him the whole time. He was fast, but so was the shadow. From time to time, a faint cyan sword light would flash across, causing the shadow's speed to increase drastically. 1.5 hours passed. Murong Wang could see the buildings of the Yuan family from afar. Who is it? On top of the watchtower, an astral-reaching realm warrior had discovered Murong Wang. It was mainly because Murong Wang had slowed down his speed to let the warrior see him. Murong Wang passed on his message, "I am the headmaster of the Murong family, Murong Wang. I have something to discuss with your headmaster. Please let him know." Who are you? Who are our headmasters? What kind of things do we have to discuss at night? This astral-reaching realm warrior thought that Murong Wang was here to see him, so he did not think much of him. This tag, you should recognize it, right? Murong Wang did not try to explain. He took out a tag with the word gold carved on it and threw it over to the warrior. The headmaster's tag. The warrior recognized the tag. The headmaster's name was Yuan Jin, and his tag had the word gold carved on it. Obviously, this tag was given to Murong Wang by the headmaster. You wait, I will go let him know. All right. Murong Wang was not in a hurry. 100 miles away, Yi Chen stood on top of a huge tree, merging with the tree in the dark. Indeed. This guy is here for the Yuan family, and he even has the tag of the headmaster. Touching his chin with his palm, a cold light flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. He had decided that if Murong Wang did something that he could not tolerate, even if he was the headmaster of the Murong family, he would kill him. As long as it was not a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, he would have 90% confidence. Soon, that astral-reaching realm warrior came out and gave the tag back to Murong Wang. Looking around, Murong Wang walked into the Yuan family. On the top floor of a rather tall building, the middle-aged man in purple robes and Yuan Yi were both there. There was also a gray shadow in the corner. Father, what is that Murong Wang doing here? Yuan Yi asked. The middle-aged man sneered, it is nothing more than his son and the martial arts of the demons. If this marriage works out, then his son's marriage will be arranged for him. But the martial arts of the demons will not even think about it. Only our Yuan family will have the martial arts of the demons. He is here. The middle-aged man in purple robes thought about the door on the top floor. With a creaking sound, Murong Wang pushed the door open and walked in. Greetings, Headmaster Yuan. Murong Wang held his fists together as he slightly lowered his head. It was indeed the headmaster of the Yuan family, Yuan Jin. The middle-aged man in purple robes said lightly, Murong Jishui and that brat have both come to the ancient Wind City? Yes. Murong Wang was not surprised at all that Yuan Jin knew about Yi Chen. As the headmaster of the Yuan family, he must be very well informed. Alright, I have a mission for you here. The two did not have anything to discuss, but Yuan Jin had asked Murong Wang to come over. He needed him to do something for him to make sure that nothing would go wrong. Just tell me what you need. This is a bottle of 3 disaster powder. Give it to Murong Jishui and Yi Chen, then control them to come to our Yuan family. Hearing him, Murong Wang was shocked. What kind of effect does this powder have? It won't turn them into idiots, right? You know, the Dragon King is behind Yi Chen. Murong Wang was worried that he would become a scapegoat. Of course, I know that. This powder will only last for 3 days. During that time, they will lose their consciousness and be like walking corpses. When they wake up, they will forget everything that happened during that time. After they take it, you can give them simple orders. Originally, Yuan Jin was not planning to do this. But, after thinking about it for a while, he still felt that this method would be safer and more stable. Father, if he wants to come, then let him come. We are not afraid of him. Yuan Yi said. Yuan Jin explained, this marriage cannot go wrong. Do you really think that it is already set in stone? Plus, after he takes the powder, you can use him to do something good and make your fiancé give up on him. Wouldn't that be killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Use him, Yuan Ye's eyes brightened. Today, he had seen Murong Qingqing. Although she was wearing a light veil, he could still tell that she was a stunning beauty, even more beautiful than all the other women he had seen. Because they both had the perfect demi-demon bloodline, he was even more attracted to her. However, she looked very cold when she saw him, so he could not force himself on her before the wedding. So, he had to hold it in. If he could take care of this troublesome Yi Chen, things would go a lot smoother. It would not be impossible for them to fall in love with each other. Hee, father, you are so smart. A creepy smile appeared on Yuan Ye's face. 100 miles away from the Yuan family, Yi Chen's expression turned cold. His soul power could reach up to 500 miles away, so he could clearly see the movements of their lips. Naturally, he knew what they were talking about. These people. They deserve to die. An intense killing intent appeared in Yi Chen's heart. He did not care what kind of top-level people they were. As long as he had the chance, he would kill them all. My third brother is a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. Will this 3 disaster powder really work? Master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had a very powerful willpower, and normal drugs would not be able to work on them. So, Morong Wang had to ask. Yuan Jin was a bit hurt. Don't worry. The 3 disaster powder is made from the essence blood of 3 rank 10 beasts, along with some other rare spirit medicines. Even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to handle it. Yuan Jin had spent dozens of years to collect all the ingredients, and he had only made 2 bottles. Each bottle's value would be immeasurable. It was not hard to tell how important this wedding was to him. Then, I will not worry anymore. Morong Wang let out a breath. Actually, he was a bit scared of Morong Jishui. If he was found out, he might be killed, even if he was his big brother. Alright, you go back first. Remember, you must succeed. Yuan headmaster, this is not a small risk. The demon's martial art that I mentioned. Is it? Morong Wang wanted to get his hands on a martial art of the demons first. Yuan Jin's face turned cold. Wait until you succeed, then we can talk about it. You do not know how important the demon's martial art is to our demi-demon family. Then. Alright. Morong Wang also knew the importance of the demon's martial art. He bit on his teeth and turned to leave. Before he left, an evil look flashed through his face. Morong Jishui, Yi Chen, don't blame me for this. Every man for himself. Waiting until Morong Wang left, Yuan Jin and Yuan Yi looked at each other and smiled, feeling that everything was under their control. In the night, Morong Wang followed the way he came, flying at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chen followed behind him quietly, his heart filled with killing intent. No one knew how long it had been, but the elder inside one of the 2 towers of the Yuan family woke up from his training. He subconsciously released his soul power, spreading it out in all directions. 1,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 8,000 miles. It reached 10,000 miles before stopping. The elder was one of the 2 demi-demon kings of the Yuan family. He had been in closed-door training all year round, and would occasionally go out to explore ruins. However, even if he was a demi-demon king, he would not be able to keep releasing his soul power for a long time. Therefore, he did not realize that Yi Chen was spying on the Yuan family. Right then, Yi Chen had already left for a long time. Who? The wind roared as Morong Wang pushed his speed to his limit. Headmaster, stay! A beam of sword light flashed through, and a human figure caught up. Morong Wang turned around to look, and his face turned blue. Yi Chen, how dare you follow me? Do you want to die? It is you who wants to die. Yi Chen's voice was very cold. What do you know? Morong Wang did not think that Yi Chen knew anything about the 3 disaster powder. None of this is important. Yi Chen's speed was as fast as master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Soon, he was already a couple of miles away. Taking out his gold sword, Yi Chen threw out a wave of sword chi toward Morong Wang. You? Morong Wang sneered as he threw out a blade attack toward the sword chi. Chapter 541. Morong Wang's blade was a long and narrow blue blade, which looked very light and agile. As he waved his right hand, the blade light was like a tornado, flashing across horizontally and clashing with Yi Chen's sword chi. Boom! The bright light ball exploded, and a deep hole appeared on the ground. Shadow shift. Yi Chen's body was like a ghost in the dark as he avoided the explosion range of the light ball and approached Morong Wang without a sound. The second he got close to him, he took out his gold sword again and threw out dozens of sword attacks in a row. Each sword attack was as fast as lightning. Morong Wang had seen Yi Chen's fast sword before. However, it was Morong Wu who had been fighting with Yi Chen. Now that he was fighting with Yi Chen, he realized that his opponent's sword was way too fast. It was almost faster than his reflexes. Every single sword attack was extremely tricky, aiming at his blind spots. Ding! Dang! Relying on his intuition and rich battle experience, Murong Wang took a deep breath. He brandished his cyan long blade and created a light screen, which protected him tightly. It kept bouncing off the sharp sword lights, and the dazzling sparks were like fireworks, exploding outside his body. Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. Holding the emerald long sword with his left hand, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. The sword edge went through the gap of the blade light and left a sword mark on Murong Wang's left rib. Murong Wang made a noise as he bent his knees and jumped into the sky. Can you dodge it? Yi Chen and Murong Wang stood up almost at the same time, jumping into the sky. Along the way, he crossed his two swords together, attacking towards the sky. There was no time for Murong Wang to breathe, so he had to block it out with his blade. The crossing point of the two swords clashed with the long blade. All of a sudden, a thumb-sized thunderball was born. It expanded at an extreme speed, swallowing both Murong Wang and Yi Chen, and expanding at an even faster speed. In the next second, 100 meters wide thunderball exploded. The intense electric blast wave destroyed the area within a radius of dozens of miles, causing the mountains to collapse, the rivers to dry up, and the ground to crack open. Pooh! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Murong Wang was blown backward with smoke rising from his body. Impossible! How can he be so strong? Not only that, this sword intent is making it hard for me to concentrate. Murong Wang's eyes were filled with shock. He knew that Yi Chen was very powerful, and that he had the power to fight beyond his realm. Even his fifth brother, Murong Wu, was slightly weaker than him. But, when Murong Wu was battling with him, he was not his opponent at all. Could it be that Yi Chen had been hiding his power during the battle with Murong Wu? Enough! Yi Chen, why are you attacking me? I am Qingqing's uncle. Going to the Yuan family does not seem to have anything to do with you, right? What, do you want to turn against the Murong clan? Murong Wang didn't want to continue fighting with Yi Chen. He believed that even if he went all out, he might not be able to kill Yi Chen. Instead, he would be heavily injured, and the gains would not make up for the losses. It wouldn't be too late to give him the 3 Calamity Bewitching Powder when he had the chance. If you don't want people to know, then don't do it. Do you really think that I don't know about you and the headmaster of the Yuan family? Putting both swords back into their sheaths, Yi Chen coldly looked at Murong Wang, who had suffered serious internal injuries. You know about this? Impossible. How could you possibly know about it? Murong Wang's expression turned evil as a hint of killing intent appeared in the depth of his pupils. Above the Jin Yuan Ocean in his dantian, the lotus heart sword chi vibrated slightly. Yi Chen looked at Murong Wang coldly. You should never have tried to trick me. Therefore, you have to die. Huh. Murong Wang laughed out loud as he pointed his finger at Yi Chen and said angrily, Who do you think you are? What right do you have to be with my niece, Qingqing? Let me tell you, I am trying to trick you, not letting you get what you want. What can you do to me? You are only a martial genius who was chosen by the Dragon King. Without the Dragon King, you are nothing. I can kill you if I want to. But, since you know about this, I will not let you leave in one piece today. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too arrogant. He had decided that he would wound Yi Chen first before giving him the 3 Calamity Bewitching Powder. I hope you can still be so stubborn before you die. Strands of sword light appeared between Yi Chen's 10 fingers. A silver light appeared in Yi Chen's pupils as he saw through all of Murong Wang's weaknesses. With me, Murong Wang, here, you are destined to be the same as Murong Zhishui. A loser, a pitiful man. Demon Eyes. Murong Wang smiled viciously as his right arm and right chest started demonizing. Scales with black chi appeared one after another as his muscles expanded and expanded. Compared to Murong Wu, the range of Murong Wang's demonization was without a doubt larger, and the increase in his power was greater as well. The second Murong Wang started to demonize, Yi Chen flicked out all 10 of his fingers. Beams of lotus heart sword chi shot out like countless light beams. Ah! Murong Wang yelled out. He did not expect that Yi Chen would have this kind of ace attack, and it was so coincidental that he only started to attack when he demonized. It was obvious that the demonization would take some time. Little bastard, I will let you know what regret is. Taking out a huge tower shield with his left hand, Murong Wang curled up his body without thinking, hiding behind the shield. Ding! 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 The shield brought up thousands of sparks. The continuous power attack had made the bones in his left arm groan and crack. What made him grit his teeth even more was that the sword chi did not all go in a straight line. Some of them went around the shield and brushed past his body. Soon, blood splashed out from his body, making him look like a man made of blood. Such a huge shield. Yi Chen frowned. The tower shield was one of the biggest types of shields. If he slightly squatted down, he would be able to use it to protect his whole body. Let's see how long you can last. Stabilizing his right hand, Yi Chen reached out his index finger slowly. It seemed like he had used all of his power as he stabbed out at the tower shield in the air. Buzz! Space rippled, and a huge cyan finger, ignoring the distance between them, pressed down on the tower shield fiercely. Crack! The tower shield was not damaged. Murong Wang, who was behind the shield, looked like he had suffered a heavy blow. He spat out a huge amount of blood towards the sky. The bones in his left arm were broken inch by inch, drooping down powerlessly. Damn it! The tower shield fell down, and Murong Wang's demonization was also completed. The current Murong Wang was not so much a human, but a half-demon and half-human. His right arm had swelled up to twice its original size, and the thickest part was like a wooden barrel. His right chest and left chest were completely different. Not only were they covered in black scales, they had also swelled up like a millstone. Even his head was tilted to one side. A pair of bloodshot eyes glared at Yi Chen, filled with anger and madness. Demonization cut. After demonization, a human demon would perform some killing moves according to the characteristics of the demonization. Of course, these killing moves were modified from the human race's martial arts, so they were not that powerful. However, when used with the demonized body, the killing power would undoubtedly be huge. Whoosh! The black blade light was like a black crescent moon, attacking towards Yi Chen. So fast! It was Yi Chen's first time facing a demonized human demon. He raised his eyebrow and raised his gold sword to block in front of him. He then poured his dragon power into his right arm. Chin! The black blade light contained an unbelievable amount of power. If Yi Chen did not have the dragon power, he would have been blown away. However, with the dragon power, Yi Chen did not move an inch. That black blade light exploded with a sharp chi flow that shot out from both sides of his body. Get down! Murong Wang shot up into the sky and glided above Yi Chen's head. He then slashed down with his blade fiercely. This blade attack did not shoot out a black blade light but a black light ball. The black light ball was like a small black sun. Before it even landed, it had already sunk a few hundred meters into the ground. Only the ground under Yi Chen's feet remained standing, like a thick stone pillar that was a few hundred meters tall. Crack! The stone pillar cracked open inch by inch as Yi Chen shot out towards Murong Wang. He held his gold sword with both of his hands and waved it out. That bright gold-blue sword light was like the golden clouds in the sky. The small black sun and the golden clouds clashed with each other, stopping right there. Pap! 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 The first thing that could not handle it was the mud inside the deep pit. It cracked open piece by piece, and countless different-sized mud pieces floated up into the air, surrounding the two. Thunder exploded as the two suddenly separated. A circular shockwave exploded in the center, destroying all the mud pieces around them. Even this could not do anything to him. Murong Wang's face was full of shock. After demonizing, his right arm's power had increased drastically. For others, it would increase by 30%, but for him, it had increased by 40%. After all, his right chest had demonized as well. However, after battling with Yi Chen, he realized that Yi Chen's power was just as powerful. It was like there was a huge volcano inside his body. What should I do? Should I go back to the Yuan family and let them take care of him? Murong Wang's eyes flickered. A few hundred meters away, Yi Chen put his gold sword back into its scabbard. After taking a deep breath, he took out a dark blue longsword. It was indeed the Thunder Disaster Sword. Murong Wang was not Murong Wu. If the battle dragged on, although Yi Chen had 80 to 90% confidence that he could kill him, it would take too much time. If there were people from the Yuan family coming over, he might be able to escape. In order to avoid any accidents, he would have to take out his ace attack and finish it all at once. His ace attack was naturally the semi-extreme rank Great Sword, the Thunder Disaster Sword. Yi Chen, it is still not too late to stop now. Do not make a mistake. Murong Wang's eyes looked dark as he threatened. Chin. Yi Chen did not reply as he took out the Thunder Disaster Sword with his right hand. You can die now. As Jin Yuan poured in, the sword's body started to vibrate. The next second, the entire sword body started to change, looking like a beam of lightning. Shoo! Performing his sword light flying spell, Yi Chen's speed reached its limit all of a sudden. Within 1/10 of a second, he had arrived in front of Murong Wang and threw out a sword attack. You will not be able to kill me. Stop it now. No, Murong Wang's eyes were wide open as the blue long blade in his hand was blown away. His head shot up into the sky, leaving behind a headless body. Murong Wang's eyes were wide open as the blue long blade in his hand was blown away. The head shot up into the sky, leaving behind only a headless body. That sword attack was not only fast enough to make people despair, but the power contained in it was also something that even his demonized right arm could not handle. It is a semi-extreme rank great sword. The head made an unconscious moan before losing its vitality. Chapter 542. Putting his sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen turned around and made a grabbing gesture with his palm. The tower shield, the long blade and the storage ring on Murong Wang's finger were all pulled over by an invisible power, and the tower shield and the long blade disappeared instantly. 3 Disaster Powder. I wonder what it is. What he cared about the most was still the 3 Disaster Powder. According to Yuan Jin, even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to handle it. Invading the ownerless storage ring with his soul power, Yi Chen soon found a small black bottle. With a wave of his soul power, the bottle was taken out. Pop! Opening the bottle cap, Yi Chen looked inside and saw that it was half filled with a gray powder. He leaned over and carefully sniffed it. Without knowing what it was, Yi Chen only felt that his nose was a bit numb, and his consciousness slowed down for a second. Then, he did not feel anything at all. This 3 Disaster Powder sends its effect into the brain through the nerves, making people lose their consciousness. It seems like it would not work on me. Yi Chen's soul and will power were way more powerful than master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Even if he took the 3 Disaster Powder, it would only cause a short side effect. It would not even make him lose his consciousness, not to mention lasting for 3 days. Although it would not work on him, it would be a huge threat to master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Putting away the 3 Disaster Powder, Yi Chen started to study Murong Wang's collection. This guy is quite rich. He has more than 300,000 top-rank spirit stones. This is the Earth Spirit Pellet, and there are 3 Heaven Spirit Pellets as well. Yi Chen still had less than 30,000 top-rank spirit stones left. It would be enough for training, but if he ran into a big auction, it would be hard for him to make ends meet. But now that he had more than 300,000 top-rank spirit stones, Yi Chen had become one of the richest Sea of Souls realm warriors. As for the Earth Spirit Pellets and Heaven Spirit Pellets, they were both top-rank pellets. The Earth Spirit Pellets could save a month of training for Sea of Souls realm warriors, while the Heaven Spirit Pellets could save 3 months of training. Murong Wang had 3 bottles of Earth Spirit Pellets, each with 10 pellets, and 3 Heaven Spirit Pellets. Adding them all together, it would save 3 years of training time. Yes, this is a top-grade spirit stone. Yi Chen's expression froze. In the corner of the storage ring, Yi Chen saw a half-opened small animal skin bag, from which a milky white light leaked out. Although this light was not bright, it was extremely condensed, as if a huge amount of light had been compressed together, releasing a shocking yuan qi vibration. Buzz! The animal skin bag was taken out. Yi Chen opened it and couldn't take his eyes off it. There were a total of 7 milky white crystals in the bag. These crystals were purer than diamonds, and there was not a single flaw. The 7 milky white crystals and the palm-sized animal skin bag weighed about half a kilogram. It was very heavy in his hand, and it was very heavy. It really is a supreme-grade spirit stone. Yi Chen took a deep breath. Top-grade spirit stones were different from top-grade spirit stones. They had been condensed into crystals, so they could be called top-grade spirit stones or spirit crystals. The spirit crystals contained within them were dozens of times purer than top-grade spirit stones. If I really want to convert them into top-grade spirit stones, one of them would be worth at least 5,000 top-grade spirit stones. In the true spirit continent, one mid-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 50 low-grade spirit stones, and one top-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 100 mid-grade spirit stones. Meanwhile, one supreme-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for at least 5,000 top-grade spirit stones. Of course, no one would be stupid enough to exchange the supreme-grade spirit stones for top-grade spirit stones, since top-grade spirit stones were easy to come by, while supreme-grade spirit stones were hard to find. For example, building a conveyor door would require supreme-grade spirit stones. No amount of top-grade spirit stones would be enough. Although these 7 supreme-grade spirit stones can be used for training, and the effect would be 10 times better than the Heaven Spirit Pellet. But right now, I am at peak level early Sea of Souls realm, and I only need to make a breakthrough. The Earth Spirit Pellet would be more than enough. Once I reach mid-Sea of Souls realm, I would try not to use the spirit stones as much as possible. Using supreme-grade spirit stones to train would be too wasteful. According to what Yi Chen knew, normal life and death realm warriors did not even have that many supreme-grade spirit stones. Most of the time, they might not even be willing to use them. The one who had the most supreme-grade spirit stones would be Su King. Su King had found a small half of an extreme spirit vein under the ocean. That extreme spirit vein did not consist entirely of supreme-grade spirit stones. In fact, most of them were top-grade spirit stones, and the extreme spirit stones were less than 1/10,000th of them. However, 1/10,000th was already horrifying enough. A lot of king warriors were guessing how many extreme spirit stones there would be. Of course, they only dared to think about it, and did not dare to fight for it. Who would dare to fight for something from Su King? Even the Dragon King and Xianhou would not dare to do so, since they were not kings after all. Putting away the storage ring and the extreme spirit stones, Yi Chen let out a breath as he looked at Murong Wang's dead body. Boom! He threw out a punch, and the headless body and the head exploded into pieces, leaving no bones behind. Shoo! Yi Chen flew toward the ancient Wind City. Adding the time he spent in between, it was only 6 hours. When he got back to the restaurant in the ancient Wind City, it was already midnight, and no one had been alerted. On the second day, during breakfast time, Murong Jishui said curiously, "How come I did not see Murong Wang?" Strange. Yi Chen smiled lightly, but did not say anything. Murong Wu said, "Who cares what he is doing? He is not on our side." In the demi-demon family, besides the parents and children, family ties were not that strong. The main reason for this was because of the intermarriage within the family. Once the intermarriage happened, everyone would be a relative. Therefore, once there were a lot of relatives, there would be no relatives at all. Plus, this Murong Wang had never been on good terms with them. After breakfast, the three went back to Murong Jishui's room. Murong Jishui said, "It would not be suitable for us to go to the Yuan family at any other time. We can only go during the wedding." In front of everyone, I believe they would not dare to do anything. Plus, there is a branch of the Yellow Dragon Palace in the ancient Wind City. If the Yuan family were to hold a wedding, they would definitely invite the top management of the Yellow Dragon Palace. What kind of people are there in the Yellow Dragon Palace? Yi Chen knew about the Yellow Dragon Palace. There were 5 palaces under the Dragon God Heaven Palace, which were the Azure Dragon Palace, Black Dragon Palace, White Dragon Palace, Red Dragon Palace, and the Yellow Dragon Palace. The first 4 were all in the East Shallow Ocean, and only the Yellow Dragon Palace was in the East region. The leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace in the ancient Wind City is the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Yaoifeng, who is a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. Murong Wu said. Even the second leader was a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. Adding all the 5 palaces together, there would be more than 10 master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. This Dragon God Heaven Palace was way more powerful than Yi Chen had imagined. He had thought that the number of master-level warriors in the AO family would not be any weaker than the Dragon God Heaven Palace, but it seemed like he had been too ignorant. Clearing his throat, Murong Jishui continued to say, with the second leader Yaoifeng here, the Yuan family would not dare to do anything. But, the rest would be up to us. Specifically, it would be you, Yi Chen. You have to beat all of the young warriors of the Yuan family. Only then would you have the right to speak. Otherwise, it would only be a joke, and even the second leader Yaoifeng would not be able to speak for you. Yi Chen nodded. If it really comes to that, I will not hold anything back. As long as you have the confidence. Oh right, since we have come to the ancient Wind City, we should pay a visit to the second leader Yaoifeng. If we could communicate with each other, perhaps it would be a lot smoother. Yi Chen thought about it and realized that it made sense. He had not had much contact with the people of the Dragon God Heaven Palace yet. He only knew the Dragon King himself and the 2 senior brothers he had met in the Extreme place. With his power now, it would be time for him to meet some of the top warriors. After that, the 3 discussed some other things. Then, Murong Wu stayed in the restaurant while Yi Chen and Murong Jishui went to the Yellow Dragon Palace in the ancient Wind City. As a power of the Dragon God Heaven Palace, the Yellow Dragon Palace had occupied a huge area in the ancient Wind City. Even the Yuan family and the Gulan Martial School were not as big as them. From the front door of the Yellow Dragon Palace, 2 middle-aged men walked out. Brother Yen, have you heard? In a couple of days, a brat from the Yuan family will be getting married. I think they will invite us and the second leader to come. It was the middle-aged man with a yellow face who was talking. The bulky middle-aged man said with disdain, the Yuan family is not a good thing. Relying on the support of the leader and Xianhou, they have become more and more arrogant. A couple of days ago, that master of the Yuan family had dared to compete with me in the auction. Ha! The yellow-faced man laughed. Are you still angry about that? Hee, the ancient Wind City is an important city in the eastern region. You and I being sent here, I wonder how many brothers and sisters would be jealous of us. Be happy. There were a lot of Yellow Dragon Palace branches in the eastern region, but not every one of them had a second leader. To be more specific, the rest of the branches could only be called the headquarters. It was not hard to tell how important the Yellow Dragon Palace in the ancient Wind City was. Isn't this Yi Chen? The bulky middle-aged man was about to reply, but his eyes froze all of a sudden. He saw the young man in blue and the middle-aged man in black walking over from the side. It is indeed Yi Chen. The yellow-faced man laughed. What is he doing here? Let's go. Yi Chen had also noticed them, so he walked over with a smile on his face. Brother Wang, Brother Yen, you are here as well. These 2 were indeed the 2 brother disciples that Yi Chen had met on his way to the Extreme place. One was called Wang Shi, and the other was called Yen Kuei. These 2 had battled with the Six-Finger Man, forcing him to hand over the top-rank shield of his dead brother disciple. The Six-Finger Man wanted to vent his anger on him, but he was chased away by the 2. Wang Shi laughed. Yi Chen, what a coincidence. It has been a couple of years since we last met. You have reached the Sea of Souls realm. Peak level early Sea of Souls realm. TSK. Wang Shi and Yan Kuei were both shocked. Yi Chen was only 24 or 25 years old, but he had already reached the Sea of Souls realm. This result was even better than Xianhou when she was young. No wonder the leader thought so highly of him. No, if it were not for the leader, this genius might have been taken away by other life and death realm warriors. The two could not help but feel lucky. Yi Chen, what are you doing here in the ancient Wind City? Yan Kuei asked. It is a long story. Uncle Murong and I are here to visit the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. You guys are also from the Yellow Dragon Palace, right? Hearing him, Wang Shi and Yan Kuei looked at Murong Jishui with surprise. They could not tell his cultivation at all. Without any surprises, he should be a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. But of course, the two were not people who had never seen the world before. They had even seen life and death realm warriors before. A master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior would not be worth their attention. Wang Shi nodded, indeed. I will take you to the second leader. Let's go. Thank you, brother disciples. What are you thanking for? We might be family in the future. Oh right, the second leader is a bit strict. You guys should be prepared. Yan Kuei laughed. Yi Chen's status is different. How could the second leader be rude to him? You are right. The four of them talked and laughed as they entered the Yellow Dragon Palace. Chapter 543. Master Wang, Master Yan, are you here to see the second leader? At the entrance of the palace, two late-clasping Yuan realm warriors were guarding there. Seeing Wang Shi and Yan Kuei walking over, they asked with a respectful tone. Wang Shi said, indeed. These two are. One of the guards looked at Murong Jishui and Yi Chen. Yan Kuei said, this is the leader of the Murong family, and this is Yi Chen, who we always talk about. He is Yi Chen. So young. The two guards were very surprised. As members of the Dragon God's Celestial Palace, it was impossible for them not to have heard of Yi Chen's name. However, only some of the top warriors had seen his picture, and they did not have the chance to see him in person. Now that they had seen him in person, they could not help but sigh at how young he was. With this kind of cultivation at such a young age, it would be strange if the leader did not think highly of him. With that thought in mind, they hurried to hold their fists together and say with respect, Warrior Yi. Yi Chen raised his right hand slightly and said with a smile, no need to be so polite. Is second leader Yao here? The leader of the Murong family and I have something to discuss with him. Please come in first. I will go inform the second leader. All right then. Thank you. Walking into the palace, the four each found a seat and sat down, waiting for Yao Feng to arrive. Yi Chen, with second leader Yao's help, this operation will basically be smooth sailing. Murong Jishui talked to Yi Chen with a light tone. Yi Chen nodded to himself. Holding a wedding was a big family event, and he had messed around like this, which would be like stepping on the face of the Yuan family. Naturally, the Yuan family would not give him a fair treatment, and would try their best to stop him. But, with second leader Yao here, the Yuan family would not be able to do anything. Soon, Yao Feng arrived. Once he entered the palace, he did not look at anyone and walked straight to the main seat before sitting down. A guard brought up the tea. Yao Feng picked up the teacup and took a sip, not saying anything for a long time. Strange. The second leader is not quite right today. Down below, Wang Shi and Yan Kuei exchanged a look. In the past, the second leader was very strict, but he would not act like that. Murong Jishui frowned, the situation doesn't look good. He could not be blamed for thinking like that, since Yi Chen had a high status. First, he was highly valued by the Dragon King, and second, he was also at peak level early Seas of Souls realm. No matter what, Yao Feng should not put on airs, even if he was the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Maybe it's just his personality. Yi Chen also had a bad feeling. Putting down the teacup, Yao Feng turned his head and said to Wang Shi and Yan Kuei, "You two can leave first." Wang Shi still wanted to say something. "Vice Hall Master," I said, "back off." Yao Feng sounded displeased. "Yes." Wang Shi and Yan Kuei left gloomily. Before leaving, they glanced at Yi Chen and said to themselves, "Yi Chen, you're on your own. We can't help you." After a while, Yao Feng spoke. He glanced at Yi Chen. "You are Yi Chen." Yi Chen held his fists together and said, "Second leader Yao, I am indeed Yi Chen, and this is the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui. I am asking you, not him." Yao Feng frowned. "What do you want from me?" Yi Chen's heart sank as he said, "The Yuan family is very aggressive, forcing the daughter of the Murong family, Murong Qingcheng, to marry Yuan Yi. Murong Qingcheng is a good friend of Yi Chen's, so Yi Chen would not just stand and watch. So, I am here to greet second leader Yao." "You came here just for this?" Yao Feng's voice got louder. Before Yi Chen could speak, Yao Feng yelled, "Yi Chen, you have disappointed our leader and me so much. You are the martial genius that our leader thinks highly of, but instead of spending your time on training, you are fighting with someone else. How could you do this to our leader?" Right then, Murong Jishui was not happy. "Second leader Yao, you cannot say it like that. Although training is important, love is not the same. There are a lot of king warriors in the continent who had wives when they were young, and they still managed to achieve great things." Yao Feng sneered, "They are them. Can you guarantee that Yi Chen will become a king warrior? Plus, there are different levels of king warriors. What he is doing now is a disgrace to our leader and the resources that we have given him. He is not treating us seriously at all." Hearing him, Yi Chen's expression did not look good. Since his rise until now, besides the spirit pattern fruit that he had gotten from Long Bai, when had he ever gotten so many resources? Of course, it was not that he hated the dragon god's celestial palace for not giving him resources, but he thought that Yao Feng was lying through his teeth. Pausing for a while, Yao Feng said to Yi Chen, "You said that the Yuan family forced Murong Qingcheng to marry Yuan Yi. I do not think so. Perhaps, you have your own ideas. Of course, this is only my guess. However, I would like to advise you to be down to earth and not go around looking for trouble. Everything you have was given by the leader and the dragon god's celestial palace. You should work hard to improve yourself and repay them. As for the matter of Yuan family, you guys better not act recklessly." "That's right. Second leader Yao, have you been in contact with people from the Yuan family?" Murong Jishui's expression was dark. He was 80% sure that this Yao Feng must have received some benefits from the Yuan family. Otherwise, he would not be acting all high and mighty and trying to frame Yi Chen. Not to mention the fact that he was only a second leader, even the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace would not be this arrogant. The battle between the two was so loud that all the people in the Yellow Dragon Palace had sensed the vibrations, and a lot of them had rushed over. What is going on? Why is Yao Feng fighting with Warrior Yi? The ones who spoke were the two guards outside the palace. They did not understand what was going on. "Everyone, listen up. Surround them. These two are being disrespectful to the dragon god's celestial palace." Yao Feng's voice spread throughout the whole palace. "Not good. Yao Feng wants to capture Yi Chen." Wang Shi and Yan Kuei had not gone far at all. Seeing this scene, they did not know what to do. Outside the palace, Yi Chen stared at Yao Feng angrily. "Second leader Yao, you better not go too far. I, Yi Chen, have never been afraid of anyone since my rise. If you think you are right, we can go to the headquarters of the Yellow Dragon Palace or the Dragon God's Celestial Palace in the future. Do you have the guts?" Yi Chen is right. Today, you won't be able to take us down with just this amount of people. Whether you're right or not, we'll know once we get to the headquarters. I'm just afraid that you'll refuse to go then. Murong Jishui was not afraid of Yao Feng, since he could leave with Yi Chen any time he wanted. Yao Feng's face was very dark. you too will regret what you have done today sooner or later. As for going to the headquarters, why should I be afraid? Finally, Yi Chen, let me give you a piece of advice. Do not mess with the Yuan family. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. Yi Chen, let's go. Murong Jishui sneered as he said to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded and followed behind Murong Jishui. Thousands of meters away, Yi Chen's voice was heard, Second Leader Yao, what happened today? I, Yi Chen, will not let it go like nothing happened. You just have to remember that your life will not be easy. I will be waiting. Yao Yifeng's face was extremely pale as he shattered the stone lion in front of the palace with one palm attack. Not good. How did this second leader get into a conflict with Yi Chen? Should we send a message back to the headquarters? Yan Kuei sent a message to Wang Shi. Wang Shi nodded, of course. Didn't you see that second leader Yao was a bit strange today? Yeah, he was a bit strange indeed. But, he had crossed the line a bit. Yi Chen is a martial genius after all. It seems like he does not have the right to teach him a lesson. I guess there must be some kind of benefit involved. Wang Shi and Yan Kuei were both on Yi Chen's side. In their opinion, the second leader had been acting all high and mighty right from the start, which was already a bit too much. Now that something like this had happened, there was no way it had nothing to do with him. After all, in their first impression, Yi Chen was quite a nice person. Chapter 544. In the sky above the ancient Wind City, two human figures were flying. I did not expect that even the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Yao Yifeng, would be bought over by the Yuan family. This Yuan family has indeed invested a lot. Murong Jishui did not think that normal wealth would be able to move Yao Yifeng's heart. As a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, there were not many things that could move him. But once there was something that could move him, then it meant that it was really important, and he would risk his life to get it. Yi Chen said calmly, without Yao Yifeng, Yuan clan can't do anything to us. What they fear is Senior Dragon King and Dragon God's Celestial Palace, not Yao Yifeng. Murong Jishui nodded, you're right. Without Yao Yifeng's support, we may face some obstacles, but as long as we're careful, there shouldn't be any problems. No matter what, we can only rely on ourselves. Yi Chen took a deep breath. Although he didn't expect to rely on others, Yao Yifeng's matter still made him feel a trace of anger. Back at the restaurant, Murong Wu saw that the two did not look right, so he hurried to ask, what happened? Murong Jishui shook his head and sighed, don't even mention it. This second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace has already been bought by the Yuan family. I suspect that they already knew that Yi Chen was coming. It is indeed not good news. Murong Wu looked serious. Suddenly, Murong Jishui thought of something and said to Yi Chen, Yao Yifeng has fallen out with us, your two senior brothers might be able to play a role. Senior brother Wang and senior brother Yan. Yi Chen thought for a while and said, I don't know them very well, but I think we can talk. They used to be disciples of the Dragon King. Senior Dragon King's disciple. That's good. It's impossible for Senior Dragon King's disciple to be completely obedient to Yao Yifeng. You're also someone Senior Dragon King thinks highly of, so your chances are high. Then I'll find time to contact them. Yi Chen didn't plan to use his soul power to contact them immediately. After all, his soul power was his secret, and it wouldn't be good to expose it. Moreover, he didn't know whether Wang Shi and Yan Kuei were on his side or not. Near the abyss, Yuan family, on the top floor of a tall building, Yuan Jin and Yuan Yi were chatting. Little Yi, have you made any progress with that girl? Yuan Jin asked casually. Yuan Yi was a bit angry as he said, there is no progress at all. She saw me go over, but she did not even leave the house. If it were not for the wedding, I would have used force already. The demi-demons had the bloodline of the demons, so it was easy for them to be aggressive. This Yuan Yi was very famous for his brutality. A smile appeared on Yuan Jin's face. If it's yours, it'll be yours sooner or later. Don't be too impatient. Let her do as she pleases for now. After the wedding, she won't be able to do as she pleases. Father is right. Yuan Yi nodded and brought up another topic. I heard from the scouts that Yi Chen and Murong Jishui had gone to the Yellow Dragon Palace. I am afraid that they are looking for the second leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Yao Feng. Would it affect us? Yuan Jin sneered. What kind of influence can it have? I'm afraid they still don't know that Yao Feng has been bribed by me. Has Yao Feng been bribed by father? The price must be quite high, right? Yuan Yi was shocked, since he did not know about this at all. Yao Feng is the eyes and ears of the Dragon God Heaven Palace after all, so he is still very useful. This time, he has been bribed, and we can continue to use him in the future. Therefore, it does not matter if the price is high. Our Yuan family can handle it, and we will definitely earn it back in the future. Ha! Even Yao Feng has been bribed by us. Let's see what else they can do. Yuan Yi let out a breath as he licked his lips. Outside of the city, inside a secret manor, Brother Yi, don't worry. We will take care of this. That Yuan family dares to go against you. They are looking for death. Yan Kuei had always been hot-tempered. Plus, he had just arrived at the ancient Wind City, and he had already gotten into a conflict with a master of the Yuan family, which made him even more annoyed. His face was full of killing intent. Wang Shi was also annoyed, so he said, "What is a Yuan family? If it were not for the leader's protection, they would have been destroyed a dozen times already. Right now, they dare to climb on top of our heads. This is too much. Brother Yi, we did not know about this before, but now that we know, we will not just stand there and watch. We have already sent the news about you and second leader Yao." Yi Chen said gratefully, "During the wedding, I will have to ask you two senior brothers to help me out. Your problem is our problem. There's no need to trouble us." Wang Shi and Yan Kuei had already considered Yi Chen as their family since they used to be the leader's disciples. Although Yi Chen had not received any instruction from the leader, just the fact that he was valued by the leader was enough for them to try their best to help him. They would not allow anyone to bully their own people. Yi Chen was a bit emotional. Before, he did not expect things to go so smoothly. "Alright, Yi Chen, I will go back with Brother Wang first, in case Yao Feng suspects us." Yan Kuei was very straightforward, and did not even call him second leader anymore. Of course, it was in front of Yi Chen and Wang Shi, so there was no need for him to hide his emotions. "Alright." Yi Chen stood up to see them off. 3 days passed in a flash, and there were only 7 days left before the wedding. During this time, Yi Chen did not do anything else. He only focused on training and comprehending the profound. He needed to be fully prepared for the challenge. My gold resonant radiance art has finally reached 90%. This gold profound breakthrough is not that hard, but it is not that easy either. It all depends on whether you can find the breakthrough point or not. Yi Chen's training time was way slower than the other Sea of Souls realm warriors, but he had already found some patterns. For example, in the early stages, as long as he trained quietly, he would definitely be able to make a breakthrough. But after reaching 70%, he would have to focus more on the moment of inspiration, which would be worth a few months of training. Of course, it did not mean that he would just sit there and wait for something to happen. Instead, it meant that he would have to enter the training mode and search for that moment of inspiration. Once he found the pattern, Yi Chen thought that it would save him a lot of time. There is not much time left. I do not have time to train the Sky Thunder Cut and the Amaranthan nature yet. I will try my best to train the Void Shattering Finger art. It would be impossible to train all of his profound within a short period of time. Right now, for Yi Chen, the Gold Resonant Radiance art, the Void Shattering Finger art, and the Sword Chi Tornado formed by the Lotus Heart Sword Chi would be his most powerful attacks. The rest would have to wait for a while. Right now, my attacks can already create space patterns, so it would not be that hard to train the Void Shattering Finger art. It is too bad that I cannot go deeper into the surreal space. If I could touch the space power up close, it would be very easy for me to train the Void Shattering Finger art to the next level. Soon, another 3 days had passed. During this time, there were more and more people in the ancient Wind City. Most of them were the top management of all of the powerful forces in the Gulan region. They had been invited by the Yuan family, such as the Gulan Martial School, some of the powerful Rank 6 martial schools, Rank 6 families, and some of the famous Rank 7 martial schools. As one of the top 2 forces in the Gulan region, even if the Yuan family did not want to invite people, it would mean that they did not care about anyone at all. Therefore, even though they knew that Yi Chen would go and mess around during the wedding, they still had to hold the wedding in a big way. I heard that Yuan Ye's fiancée is as pretty as a goddess. I wonder if it is true. The demi-demon family has always produced handsome men and beautiful women. I guess it is true. But this Yuan Yi is also one of the rare handsome men. The two would make a great couple. All of the restaurants in the ancient Wind City were filled with people, and a lot of people were talking about the upcoming wedding. On the street, Murong Jishui and Murong Wu were walking side by side. There are quite a lot of people here. Murong Wu could see 2 to 3 Sea of Souls realm warriors with one glance. Murong Jishui said, "The more, the better." These days, Yi Chen has been training his profound sense. I wonder how is his progress. Speaking of this, Murong Jishui was also very concerned. He shook his head and said, he will have to rely on himself. Yuan Yi is not that easy to take on. I think no one below Master Level Sea of Souls realm would be able to take on him. I even think that Yuan Yi is not weaker than normal Master Level Sea of Souls realm warriors. There is indeed such a possibility. The special power of the perfect demi-demon bloodline is not something to joke about. It would grow stronger as one's cultivation increases. With Yuan Ye's current cultivation, his special power would probably be equivalent to demonizing 3 parts of his body. Murong Wu was very worried. Perhaps it will be more than that. Murong Jishui thought to himself. Inside the quiet yard, space patterns appeared everywhere. Yi Chen was in the middle of the space pattern with both of his eyes closed. His soul power was constantly observing the pattern of the space pattern. I only need one more matching point. Once I find it, I will be able to train my void-shattering finger art to 50%. 50% was the dividing line for low-rank profound sense martial arts, which meant that he had reached the limit of the space mentality. Compared to 40% of the void-shattering finger art, it would be twice as powerful. The space pattern is different from the water pattern. When 2 circles of water pattern are stacked together, they will cancel each other out, creating a conflict. But the space pattern will merge with each other. Merge. Oh right. The merging will make the power even more powerful. This is the limit of the space mentality. Deep inside Yi Chen's mind, something seemed to have been cleared up, opening up a whole new world for him. Opening his eyes suddenly, Yi Chen took a deep breath. It was a long breath, blowing up sand and rocks in the yard. The chi flow was chaotic. Break. Putting his tongue on the roof of his mouth, Yi Chen pointed out his finger at the fake mountain not far away. Pop! The fake mountain disappeared without a sound, and a bottomless black hole appeared where it had been. All the extra materials had been devoured. Once the void-shattering finger art reached 50%, it would not only be able to break through Jin Yuan easily, but it would also have a devouring effect. This devouring effect would turn the materials into space power, which would increase the power of the void-shattering finger art. Time was king, and space was king. This statement was not empty at all. 50% of the void-shattering finger art's power would be way more powerful than the gold resonant radiance art, because as long as one was hit by the void-shattering finger art, 100% of the power would increase to 120% or even more. It would devour one's Jin Yuan and increase one's attacking power. I should be 100% confident now, right? Yi Chen's brows relaxed a little. Before, he did not have much confidence, because demi-demons were different from humans. There were too many unknowns, especially Yuan Ye's special power, which was even more powerful than his demonization power. So, he had to be careful. But now, everything was no longer a problem. Chapter 545. In the last 4 days, Yi Chen tried his best to familiarize himself with the void-shattering finger. The void-shattering finger art came from the Goat Horn Mountain, which was located in the 100,000 mountain range of the Grey Mystery Nation. Back then, other than the plain-colored jade slip that contained the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, there was also a huge white key. When the white key was activated with energy, it would form 6 huge characters in the air: Emperor's Tomb, Aries constellation. There was a high chance that the tomb of a martial monarch was the tomb of a titled monarch. Based on that, the white key should be the key to open the tomb. As for the void-shattering finger, it was probably not as simple as breaking through the invisible barrier and obtaining the white key. There should be more to it than that. The void-shattering finger art that Yi Chen had obtained was the third movement, and it was related to the tomb of a martial monarch. Therefore, its power and potential were self-evident. If he wanted to master it, it would not be something that could be done in a day. After all, comprehension and application were two different things. Even if you had the power of 100 pounds, you might not be able to use all of it. The power of space was just too mysterious. Seriously speaking, Yi Chen was currently unable to use the power of space. What he used was true essence to simulate the power of space. If he wanted to simulate the power of space more successfully, he would need to use the profound meanings of concepts. Of course, if he wanted to comprehend the profound of space, the difficulty would not be as easy as comprehending a low-rank profound martial art to completion. In fact, it might be even more difficult. Yi Chen could only put more effort into using it, striving to bring out all of its power. This morning, the ancient Wind City was even more crowded than usual, because it was the wedding day of Yuan Yi from the Yuan family. Within the fog, countless human figures flew out of the ancient Wind City, heading toward the Yuan family in the west. Among them were Yi Chen, Murong Jishui, Murong Wu, and 10 powerful warriors from the Murong family. The day has finally come. Murong Jishui took a deep breath as a cold light flickered in his eyes. Murong Wu also said with a cold voice, "This Yuan family indeed does not respect our Murong family at all. They did not even send us an invitation. We, as the uncles and the father, seem to have become outsiders. Without an invitation, there's no reason to stand on our side. We'll just go." The closer he got to the Yuan family, the more Murong Jishui felt a sense of suffocation in his heart. He could not help but think of his first love. "I wonder if you've been happy all these years?" Murong Jishui thought. Whoosh! Whoosh! Since they had to accommodate the 10 elites from the Murong clan, Yi Chen and the other 2 did not increase their speed to the limit. Occasionally, there would be people who would overtake them. Yi Chen frowned. He saw the Yellow Dragon Hall's deputy hall master, Yao Yifeng, and his 2 senior brothers, Wang Shi and Yan Kuei. Yao Yifeng glanced coldly at Yi Chen and transmitted his voice, "You really are a scourge. It's not too late to leave now." Yi Chen sneered. "You don't need to worry about it. We'll settle our debts later." "Settle accounts? I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so." With a cold snort, Yao Yifeng sped up, turning into a streak of light and fleeing. At this time, Wang Shi's voice sounded, "Junior brother Yi, you can make a scene at the wedding. Junior brother Yan and I will speak for you." "Thank you, senior brothers." With these 2 speaking up for him, the situation would undoubtedly improve. At the very least, they represented Dragon God's celestial palace. "Then, we will go first. See you in the Yuan family." Wang Shi and Yan Kuei increased their speed, following behind Yao Yifeng. After an hour, everyone arrived at the Yuan family. Today, the Yuan family was decorated with lanterns and decorations, looking very festive. As far as the eye could see, there was red everywhere. Outside of the gate, there were rows of warriors in red uniforms waiting to welcome the guests. There was someone there to check the invitation cards. "Sorry, you do not have an invitation card. You cannot go in." Yi Chen and his group were blocked outside. Murong Wu said angrily, "I am Qingqing's uncle, and this is her father. If we cannot go in, who else can? Without an invitation card, no one can go in. This is the order of the headmaster. The gatekeeper sneered, not taking the three seriously at all. Murong Jishui said calmly, "This is your Yuan family's responsibility. You did not even inform the bride's family. There is no need for this wedding at all. Who is making a scene?" The commotion had attracted the attention of the powerful warriors of the Yuan family. A good-looking young man walked over. He looked similar to Yuan Yi, but was a bit older. Yuan Hao. Murong Wu recognized the young man immediately. It was indeed Yuan Ye's brother, Yuan Hao. Yuan Hao glanced at the three and said in a weird tone, "So, it is uncle and uncle. You two can go in. As for him, he will stay." Yuan Hao pointed at Yi Chen. "This is my brother disciple Yi." "What? You want to kick him out?" A loud yell was heard as Yen Kuei walked over with big steps. Yuan Hao's expression changed. He tried to suppress his anger as he said, "This is our Yuan family. The rules are set by us. Your Yuan family is so powerful. What? Are you going to kick out people from our Dragon God Heaven Palace to show off your power? You!" A cold light flashed in Yuan Hao's eyes. If it were in the wild, he would kill Yen Kuei for sure. "Brother Yi, let's go in. Let's see who dares to stop us." They had already guessed that the Yuan family would do this, which was why they sent Yen Kuei out. Yi Chen took a deep breath and followed Yen Kuei into the Yuan family. He had already prepared himself for all kinds of troubles, since he was in someone else's territory after all. The wedding would be held in the biggest plaza of the Yuan family. Both sides of the plaza and the front were filled with seats. There were already a lot of people sitting there, drinking tea while chatting. The atmosphere was quite lively. Yuan Jin and Yuan Yi, who was wearing the bridegroom's outfit, saw Yi Chen and the other two, their faces darkened. All of their plans against Yi Chen had failed. First, Murong Wang disappeared mysteriously, and then Yao Feng did not let Yi Chen stay, asking him to go out on a mission. "Since you are here, don't even think about leaving in one piece." Yuan Ye's evil qi increased, his eyes looking creepy. "It has not reached that stage yet." Yuan Jin vaguely looked at the waiter in the crowd and nodded slightly, seeming to signal something. That waiter also nodded and walked toward Yi Chen's direction. There were a lot of waiters coming and going, bringing tea, snacks, and fruits to every table. It was no exception for Yi Chen's side. Murong Wu was about to drink some water when Murong Jishui stopped him. "Do not eat anything when you are in someone else's territory." "Oh right, I forgot about that." Murong Wu seemed to have thought of something as he put down his cup. As for Yi Chen, he did not even look at the tea and snacks on the table. "You are not drinking?" Yuan Jin frowned. He ordered the waiter to add some 3 calamity powder to their tea. The amount of powder was very small, not enough to make them lose consciousness for 3 days, but it was enough to make them lose consciousness for half a day. After half a day had passed, everything was settled. "Mo Luo, it will be up to you now." Yuan Jin sent a message to the gray shadow in the corner. "Headmaster, do not worry. I am not their opponent in a head-on battle. But, if it is a sneak attack, I have 100% confidence." The gray shadow's voice was very calm. "I trust you." A creepy smile appeared on Yuan Jin's face. All these years, Mo Luo had never disappointed him, and he had never failed before. The number of master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors who had died in his hands had already reached 3. Judging on battling power, they were more than 10 times more powerful than Mo Luo. But, under Mo Luo's sneak attacks, they had all died very quickly without any suspense. Mo Luo was the most powerful assassin among Sea of Souls realm warriors. A waiter walked past the gray shadow. As he left, the gray shadow disappeared as well. No one knew how it disappeared, not even the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors nearby had sensed it. No, they did not even notice the existence of the gray shadow. It was an extremely horrifying scene, one that would make one's hair stand on end. What do you think the Yuan family will do to us next? Murong Wu had brought his own wine, pouring one for Murong Jishui and Yi Chen as he said. Whatever comes, we will just have to deal with it. Yi Chen held the wine glass and shook it slightly. The inside of the glass started to ripple, reflecting everything around them. All of a sudden, a gray shadow flashed past in the glass like an illusion. Yi Chen did not look at the glass, but a vague smile appeared on his face. Murong Jishui frowned slightly. His sight was filled with the waiters' figures. They seemed to have been isolated, and he had a bad feeling about this. Strange. Why do I feel like sleeping? Murong Wu's eyes looked blank as he slowly lowered his eyelids. Not good. Murong Jishui also felt sleepy. For a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, it would be something unimaginable. Who? A circle of surreal water waves spread out, and the surrounding area fell into darkness. Let's sleep. The twisted gray shadow passed by in front of the three, making them feel more and more sleepy. They could not even open their eyes anymore. Murong Wu had even started to snore. Only Murong Jishui and Yi Chen were still struggling, trying their best to see the real face of the gray shadow. The gray shadow laughed as his body appeared. He waved his hand and threw out a pile of gray powder toward Yi Chen. It was colorless and odorless, mixed with the qi flow. It covered Yi Chen's head immediately, trying to get into his nostrils. I wonder what other tricks the Yuan family will have after killing you. All of a sudden, Yi Chen sat up straight and opened his eyes. His pupils were clear, and there was no sign of him wanting to sleep at all. The gray shadow yelled with a low voice as he shot backward, his body twisting rapidly. Do you think you can get away? Shoo! The wine spilled out as Yi Chen flicked his finger. That light-like lotus heart sword chi went through the water curtain and landed on the gray shadow's chest that had not twisted yet. Blood splashed out. It was not red, but a dreamy blue color. The blue blood seemed to have washed away the darkness around them, returning the scene back to normal. The sounds of the guests chatting with each other started to become clearer. Boom! A human figure was blown backward, landing in the middle of the plaza. Everyone's attention was attracted by it. They looked over and could not help but gasp. The one lying on the ground in the middle of the plaza was a weird-looking monkey in gray robes. It was only 1 meter tall, and its limbs were covered in long hair. Its face looked like an elder's. Right then, there was a bloody hole in its chest, and blue blood kept pouring out of it. Chapter 546. What? Mo Luo failed. Yuan Jin's pupils shrank, filled with shock. Mo Luo was the name of a clan. There were very few members in this clan. At most, there would not be more than 5. This Mo Luo who followed him was a level 10. He had spent more than 10 years to train this Mo Luo, which was as long as he had been collecting the materials for the 3 disaster enchantment. Mo Luo's battling power was not that powerful, and could even be considered very weak. Rank 10 Mo Luo's battling power would be similar to normal rank 9 beasts, and any Sea of Souls realm warriors would not need to be afraid of it. However, its soul power was extra powerful. Once it reached rank 9, it would master a special power related to the soul. Once it was used, even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to handle it. In the ancient era, Mo Luo's name represented nightmares. No matter how powerful you were, once it got close to you, your life would be under its control. Of course, Mo Luo was not without its weaknesses. Its special power could only be used twice within a short period of time, and after that, it would take a long time to recover. There were 13 people in Yi Chen's group, and they were all living separately in the restaurant in the ancient Wind City. Mo Luo could not control them one by one, and he could not kill them all like he did to master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors in the past. Otherwise, he would not have to wait until today. Yuan Jin had not expected that something that he was so sure of would fail. He did not even know if the Mo Luo was still alive or not. You are looking for death. Mo Luo was way too important for Yuan Jin. He could not control his emotions anymore as he stood up abruptly, looking at Yi Chen with a murderous look. Yi Chen looked at Yuan Jin coldly. If I have guessed it right, this thing is called Mo Luo. It is extremely rare in the world, and your Yuan family is very lucky to have one. Also, who here has discovered its existence? It tried to drug me just now, but I killed it with one finger attack. Mo Luo? I have read about it in the ancient books. No wonder it could hide in the crowd without us knowing. It is the most horrifying assassin among the beasts. Yuan family has a Mo Luo. Then, those master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors who were killed a few years ago might have something to do with it. Yuan Jin, what is going on? Let me ask you, was Mo Luo from your Yuan family the one who killed our Gulan Martial School's Master Han? The master of the Gulan Martial School who had come to congratulate Yi Chen suddenly started to attack, his face extremely pale. The Master Han he was talking about was a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior of the Gulan Martial School. For a rank 5 martial school, master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors were definitely the backbone of the martial school, the symbol of the rise and fall of the martial school. As for the life and death realm warriors, although they were more powerful than master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors, they would not show up easily. They were like the nuclear weapons from Yi Chen's world. Having a master-level Sea of Souls realm assassinated, the Gulan Martial School had suffered a huge loss. It would be strange if they were not angry about it. It was just that they still could not find the culprit. Right now, Mo Luo had appeared in the Yuan family. Without a doubt, the Yuan family was the biggest suspect. The master of the Gulan party was furious. People from the Yuan family looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Right then, Yuan Ye's brother, Yuan Hao, walked out and said with a loud voice, "Everyone, do not listen to his side of the story. He is trying to frame our Yuan family. Whether it is a trap or not, we all know it. As for Mo Luo appearing in the Yuan family, it is not a trap for you." Murong Jishui woke up from his drowsiness. Seeing this scene, he knew who was behind it immediately. He was secretly scared, but at the same time, he said sarcastically, "Murong Jishui." Yuan Jin stared at Yi Chen and Murong Jishui without blinking. If possible, he would like to gather all of the powerful warriors of the Yuan family to kill the two, just to relieve the anger of Mo Luo being killed. Yuan Jin, you still owe us an explanation. All of the people from the Gulan party who had come to congratulate the Yuan family all stood up, looking at the people from the Yuan family with an unfriendly expression. "Father, you cannot admit that Mo Luo was raised by our Yuan family. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable." Yuan Hao secretly sent a message to Yuan Jin. Yuan Jin naturally knew what to do. He tightened his fists, then relaxed them soon after. "Everyone, our Yuan family did not know about this Mo Luo. Its appearance here might be someone messing around, purposely putting on a show for you all." Yan Kuei could not help but sneer, "Headmaster Yuan, it seemed like you were angry just now. Why did you have to be angry right now?" People from the Gulan party did not believe Yuan Jin's words either, so they stared at him without blinking. "Ha! Today is my son's wedding day. How can we let blood be spilled? Do you think I cannot be angry after seeing blood? What kind of logic is this?" Yuan Jin was even more cunning than expected. His words were flawless, making it hard for people to catch him. Pausing for a second, he continued to say, "If Mo Luo was raised by our Yuan family, then it would not be discovered at all. Once it was discovered, it would mean that it has nothing to do with our Yuan family. After all, Mo Luo's special power is something that even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors could not handle. Do you think he could? It seems to make sense." A lot of people chose to wait and see. Tapping on the table with his fingers, Yi Chen's expression did not change. "What kind of logic is this? If it was discovered, it would have nothing to do with your Yuan family. If it was not discovered, then no one would know about Mo Luo. In other words, no matter if it was discovered or not, your Yuan family would still be able to stay out of it. Is that what you are trying to say? How dare you? How dare you accuse me? Yuan Hao looked at Yi Chen with a creepy expression. The warning and threat in his eyes were obvious. Everything needs evidence. If you just listen to his words, then I will have nothing to say. But, I will make it clear once again that this Mo Luo has nothing to do with our Yuan family. Yuan Jin took a deep look at Yi Chen as he said to the leading master of the Gulan party. The leading master of the Gulan party took a couple of deep breaths, his eyes looking extremely dark. Indeed, there was no solid evidence for this. Without any solid evidence, it would be unreasonable to start a conflict with the Yuan family. So, he sat down and said with a cold voice, "All right. Today, I will give your Yuan family some face. But, if my Gulan party finds out the truth in the future, you will not be able to get away with it." Hearing him, Yuan Jin let out a breath. Find out the truth? What a joke. If you can find out the truth, then you will have the capability. Turning his head, Yuan Jin ordered, "Come on. Take Mo Luo's body away before it stains the wedding venue." No hurry. It was Yi Chen who spoke. Since your Yuan family does not want to admit the existence of this Mo Luo, then this body should belong to me, because I am the one who killed it. Yi Chen did not have this thought at first, but the dream-eating wolf in his beast tag seemed to have sensed the Mo Luo's qi, so it started to roar excitedly. Through the soul mark, Yi Chen knew that it really needed the body. It was understandable, since the dream-eating wolf could create dreams, so it was extremely powerful in terms of soul power. Since the Mo Luo could enchant souls, its soul power should be equally powerful. Devouring the flesh and beast pellet of the Mo Luo would help the dream-eating wolf recover from the wounds on its soul. Yuan Jin would not let Yi Chen take away the body of the Mo Luo, since it would be useful to him as well. So, he said coldly, "This happened in our Yuan family, so we have the right to deal with the body. There is no need for you to worry about it. Take it away." Yes. A powerful warrior of the Yuan family took away the body. What a shame. Yi Chen did not continue to say anything. He thought to himself that it was such a shame. Looking at the dream-eating wolf's desperate look, he knew how important the body was to it. Waiting until Mo Luo's body was moved away, Yuan Jin said with a low voice, "Today is my second son's wedding day. I hope things will go smoothly and without any problems. Whoever dares to mess around will be going against our Yuan family. If they go against me, Yuan Jin, they will have to bear the consequences." After he finished talking, he glanced over at Yi Chen and the rest, with a heavy sense of warning. As time went on, the wedding officially started. Soon, Muong Qingqing, who was wearing a bright red bridal dress with a red silk cloth covering her head, walked out. Then, Yuan Yi, who was wearing a black groom outfit with a big red flower on his chest, walked out as well. Just when they were about to perform the ceremony, Yi Chen took a deep breath and said with a loud voice, "I object to this wedding." With the help of his Jin Yuan, his voice spread out everywhere, and everyone could hear it clearly. Everyone could not help but be shocked, not knowing what Yi Chen was trying to do. Yuan Jin tried to control his anger. "Go on." Yi Chen sneered, "Do you Yuan family only know this kind of dirty tricks? This wedding is a conspiracy. How can you say that? If you cannot give me a reason, then don't blame me for being ruthless." A horrifying qi exploded out of Yuan Jin's body as he stared at Yi Chen with an evil look. Yi Chen was not afraid at all. "The bride is already under your control. Right now, she is just a puppet. She is not willing to do this at all." "What? Are you serious?" Everyone was shocked. Hearing him, Yuan Jin, Yuan Yi, and Yuan Hao's expressions changed. Just as Yi Chen had said, right then, Muong Qingqing could not speak, nor could she move freely. All of her actions were being controlled, and it was not her own will. "Yi Chen, you have been messing around time and time again. Do you really think that our Yuan family is easy to bully?" Yuan Hao walked out. "Whether it is messing around or not, you can let the bride say a few words. If she can speak freely, then it will prove the innocence of your Yuan family. The clothes that Murong Qingcheng was wearing had the ability to reflect soul power. It would not be that effective during a battle, since the soul power would be reflected back, which would expose her. But right now, it had the effect of not being detected by soul power. But Yi Chen's soul power was way more powerful than Sea of Souls realm warriors, so he could naturally see through it and see Murong Qingcheng's expressionless face. Yuan Hao said with a creepy voice, "Innocence is not up to you to decide. For the dignity of my Yuan family, I, Yuan Hao, will challenge you right here. If you do not dare, then the wedding will go on, just in case it gets delayed. What if I win? We will talk about it after you win. Take my spear." A long black spear appeared in Yuan Hao's hand. The tip of the spear shook once, looking like a black angry dragon as it stabbed toward Yi Chen's chest. "How wound him badly?" Right then, Yuan Jin sent a message to Yuan Hao. "I know." In Yuan Hao's mind, he had been wanting to step on Yi Chen for a long time, humiliating him in front of everyone. It was the consequence of messing with the Yuan family. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.